Hey, what's up guys, it's Uchiha here back with the next part of What If Naruto Had Asuras Memories. And before continuing this, if you haven't, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. And without further ado, let's continue with our story. Previously, the Uchiha took it and both strode to the palace, where an unknown enemy lay ahead. When they arrived, many guests were already present. They spotted Kakashi and Sakura easily, their watchful eyes scanning the crowd. The Harno was strumming a slow tune on her shamisen, accompanied by other musician instruments, most of the crowd starting to dance to their song. As did Sayuri and Naruto. As they vaulted, they kept a close lookout for any suspicious activity. The other guests appeared to be civilian as well, and were stately in appearance, ambassadors perhaps. Naruto's right hand was on her back, his left hand collapsing her right. His observant blue eyes watching the other guests around them carefully, noting those positions, especially those were nearer the daimyo. The blonde took a step back and Sayuri followed, peering the sides of her. She then let go of her left hand, which was around his neck, and spun around in a circle, making sure to observe everything of her surrounding. When she completed her spin, Naruto pulled her back, close to his body. Anything? She shook her head, and the two stepped away from each other to their original stances. They and other dancing couples stepped aside as seven parasol dancers entered the hall in an ordinary fashion. They lined up in front of the platoon with their beautifully crafted parasols and began dancing to the music. The Sakura played to blend in with the harmonious tune of the koto. Naruto's attention was now on them. They were all aged roughly 20 to 30 and were all in perfect physical condition, as well as for their age. They danced and leapt gracefully to the air without so much of a stumble or a slip. Their steps were light and quick, the movements in all perfect synchronization. The blonde ninja Uzumaki raised an eyebrow. How strange for a civilian group to be so good in both performance and balance. Strange indeed. What gave them away was their chakra signatures, 1 Jonin and 6 Chunin. Naruto grabbed Sayuri by the waist and pulled her in close to an intimate embrace as the music reached a crescendo. Blood rushed to her cheeks, turning them rosy red. She could feel Naruto's warm breath by her ear as he whispered, "The dancers, they are too good for civilians. The one in the middle has Jonin chakra reserves, while the rest of them have Chunin level in chakra," informed Kakashi. The Uchiha girl nodded, her eyes flitted to Kakashi, flashing red momentarily as she gestured her Sharingan towards the dancer. The disguised Chunin nodded in understanding and relayed the message to Sakura, a final test to see if they were truly shinobi. Getting the signal, the Haruno suddenly picked up her strumming pace, the tempo 6 times faster than before. Impossibly, the parcel dancer kept up their performance without a single slip-up. It was at this moment that the lead dancer leapt at the fire daimyo. The hall spun into absolute chaos as Kakashi jumped from the shoji screen to intercept the Jonin, fending the woman off with a kunai. The rest of the Team 7 sprung into action, dropping their henjis. Naruto noticed a Chunin about to stab Madam Shinji and dashed towards him at top speed. All the young man saw was a blur before he was blitzed, sent crashing into the wall by Naruto's kick. Said wall echoed with a boom with the Chunin slammed into it, creating a small cracks around him where he cracked. Naruto spun around and spammed shadow clones to evacuate the daimyo, his wife and the guest. The enemy ninja coughed up blood and internal injuries began to show. He managed to swing at the blonde, but Uzumaki evaded it easily by ducking below his arm. When Naruto stood up, he rammed his fist at the man's cartilage, shattering it from within. He forced the Chunin to bend forward in pain. The blonde made use of the strike at the opponent's neck, rupturing his windpipe. The Chunin lowered his head reflexively, allowing Naruto to land the final blow with extreme precision at the top of his head, the nervous center of the body. This killed him instantly. The Uzumaki moved on to the next opponent, who was about to attack Sakura. With one hand on the man's collar, Naruto tugged the man back while ripping his legs from underneath him. Said Chunin fell on his hands but used the momentum to spring back up. The two then engaged in taijutsu. Naruto spun around, confusing him, and then launched a tornado kick. The Chunin sidestepped it, but the Uzumaki jumped up and switched to his other leg. This unexpected maneuver caught the Chunin by the face. Less force was put into this counter, so the Chunin only stumbled back, though his face felt like it was burning. Some of his teeth had already been kicked out. Naruto lashed onto the man momentarily and hurled him skywards. His hand went beneath the coat, where Sayuri waited in its seat. Naruto lunged at the man while drawing the sword and called, Uchiha Ryu, Hagasano Mai. As Naruto performed the halo dance technique, the sword burst into flames in response. Fire chakra engulfed the sharp blade, creating a veritable coat of white hot flames. Naruto executed the lateral slash despite not being in range of the opponent. To the enemy's shock, a wave of flame left the blade and flew in his direction. In his vulnerable position mid-air, there was nothing he could do to prevent his fiery death. In a spectacular explosion, his body was charred into ashes. Meanwhile, the Chunin tried to sneak up behind Sayuri with a sword drawn. Poor choice, because when the Uchiha whirled around, her eyes were glowing a vermilion red, with Totomo spinning hypnotically. Latsu, Sharingan. Conversation, Sharingan, Sayuri whispered. A glazed look appeared on the woman's eyes as she was forced to obey the Sharingan will. She cut down a nearby teammate. Those guards were down as he did not expect his own teammate to attack him. He collapsed to the floor as the woman regained her will. What have I done? The Chunin cried and looked back at Sayuri with a glare. The Uchiha was unfazed, however, activating another genjutsu on the woman. Magen, Hayuki Yoko. Demonic illusion, 100 Demon Night Parade. In her mind's eye, the Chunin surrounded turned a blood red. The dead bodies of her comrades were scattered across the floor, their eternals feasted upon by demons with vicious grins. She appeared to be in some kind of alley as demons closed in on her from every side with no way to escape. Her body seemed to be consumed in some black fire, her flesh burning away. The demons sank their hands into her skin, ripping out organs for every biological system and shoving them into their mouths greedily to satiate their ferocious appetite. The Chunin let out a scream of absurd horror. Finally, she released the nightmarish genjutsu, letting the enemy collapse on the floor. The traumatized Chunin killed herself to end all this madness. Her eyes locked onto the final target, just as Naruto was dealing with his last opponent. She weaved multiple hand seals in initiated Kakashi's technique. The sounds of chirping birds was unmistakably as Sayuri sprinted towards the target. Chidori, the Uchiha yelled, plunging a near-rank assassination jutsu into the woman's chest. Her right-hand chakra-covered hand penetrated the enemy's skin easily, puncturing her lung cavity. Sayuri grabbed the Chunin's shoulder with her right hand and used it to pull out her left, which was now dropping to the Chunin's blood. The opponent crumbled to the floor. Not even a match for Chidori. Kakashi had already dealt with the enemy's leader, the Chunin who had attempted to attack the fire dam earlier. The hall was now empty, except the 4 of them and 7 corpses laying around. Kakashi sighed. Yet another C rank turned A rank. Good job, guys. You all each took on 3 Chunins by yourself. Sakura lowered her head in embarrassment. I didn't do anything, she confessed. Kakashi shook his head. Because you couldn't, your capabilities are that of a medic. So you aren't really expected to take part in battles. The job lies afterward. Relieved, Sakura smiled. She healed Kakashi and Sayuri's injuries, which were only minor scrapes in the midst of battle. Naruto, on the other hand, didn't require any healing, as any damage he took had healed within seconds. Whenever a cut occurred, steam just rose from the wound and it closed without healing or leaving a scar. Sidebound ordered his shadow clones to bring Daimyo and the others back. The party resumed successfully without any interruptions. At the end of it, the feudal lord was pleased by the Team 7's performance. I'm glad I hired you guys, the Daimyo praised gleefully. I'll pay you for an A rank. You can stay one more night at the hotel. Once again, Team 7 bowed and thanked the ruler of Haininokuni. They returned to the penthouse suite and had a good night rest. After an uneventful but hearty breakfast, the 4 departed capital from Konoha. Along the way, Kakashi mentioned that they had yet to take their team photo, so they would be so late on after Hokage's office. Again? Hiruzen exclaimed incredulously. Hi Hokage-sama, Kakashi confirmed. The Hokage joked. What rotten luck, I may have to ban your teams from ever taking C ranks. Naruto's eyes were in mock horror. You can't even possibly be serious, GD. I'm not catching Toras for the rest of my life. The room burst in laughter. Alright, jokes aside, I heard you guys are taking your team photos later. Do look presentable, as this photo will be the valuable possession in the future. Naruto be informed. Thank you for the advice, Hokage-sama, Sakura replied. Soon after, they were dismissed and told to change into their best, cleanest outfits possible and meet at the academy at 2. As such, Team 7 decided to first they would go for lunch before adjourning till 2. It was a most quiet affair as they were not talking about anything. Naruto was holding a ramen eating constantly with himself. Much to his teammates' shock, he managed to finish 30 balls before feeling bloated. Sayuri shook her head in amusement while Sakura just started to laugh. His ridiculous antics Kurama scowled from within the mindscape. You're lucky I'm here to help you digest all that crap. If it wasn't for me, you would have vomited over 30 times by now. Thanks then, Furball. And don't call ramen crap. It's the food of the gods, by the way, okay? Naruto retorted. Kurama roared at the demeaning nickname. He was the strongest of the Bijus, damn it. Everyone killed the kid to show some respect. Meanwhile, Asura stood in one corner, sweat dropping at the conversation. Come on, we don't wanna be late. We have 45 more minutes. Sakura exclaimed. Naruto nodded and stood up slowly, still feeling overly stuffed. Sayuri took notice and sighed. Honestly, Tope, slow down on eating that shit next time. If you don't want to kill yourself. Naruto gave her an offended look. I can handle it just fine, Sayuri-chan. No amount is too much when it comes to the foods of the gods. The Uchiha gave an unexasperated sigh, one of the helplessness in defeat. Whatever you say, Whiskers-kun. In a blur, she disappeared. Naruto shrugged and did the same, leaving Sakura to go home. But at least his nickname was changed to something more pleasant than the dead last. When they rendezvoused at the academy entrance, Kakashi brought them to a classroom to have their picture taken. They were all dressed in their usual shinobi gear, with Kakashi in his usual Jonin vest, Naruto in his black jacket, Sayuri in her blue mandarin gown, and Sakura in her usual red guapo. The photographer arranged them the way he saw fit. By tradition, Kakashi, as the sensei stood behind Sakura, was wearing the light color, so she was positioned in the front of Kakashi, while her left was Naruto and on her right was Sayuri, as both were dressed in relatively darker colors. Hi, Jizu, the photographer said. All yelled at the same time in unison. Sakura and Naruto were the only ones who were really into it. Kakashi, having it mask on, didn't smile, but instead gave one of his eye smiles. Sayuri couldn't actually smile genuinely, so she lost that emotion long ago. Instead, she offered a half-hearted smirk that appeared even less happy than she would have with her normal expression on, and thus their expressions were immortalized in the photograph forever. Alright, I'll have your photo. I'll have it developed and send it back to Hokage office where you can collect it tomorrow. Arigato, said Kakashi before turning to his team. Dainanaha, you're all dismissed until tomorrow. Meet at the usual time and place. Team 7 nodded and dispersed themselves. However, the white-haired Jonin tapped Naruto's shoulder and said, Follow me. The blonde raised an eyebrow but complied. With his sensei's instruction, he was brought to training ground 3 where Kakashi ground to a halt. Sensei, why did you bring me here? Asked Naruto. Long story short, I'm going to teach you a new jutsu. Uzumaki's eyes widened. Yes, what jutsu it is? This is excitement subsided as he asked in suspicion. Wait, I'm not going to be another C-rank fire jutsu, is it? Kakashi chuckled. No worries, on the contrary, I'm actually going to teach you my sensei's signature technique and your birthright, he added mentally. Naruto thought back to the time after the bell test, where Kakashi talked about the previous Team 7's. Your sensei. He was the Yondime, wasn't he? Naruto asked in realization, shock upon recalling. The Cyclops nodded. Indeed. And today I shall teach you one of his jutsu he invented. It's called Rasengan, the pinnacle of shape transformation. For that, not that I am ungrateful, but why are you teaching me this? Naruto asked curiously. He didn't want to be favored over his teammates, as it would be unfair for Kakashi to show favoritism. The Jonin replied, That's because I taught Sayuri my Chidori. It would be fair if I taught you Rasengan. As for Sakura, she's not a ninjutsu type, for her chakra reserves are insufficient. So don't worry about her, I have my own plans for her. Naruto nodded in acceptance. Alright, let's get started. The Rasengan does not require any hand seals to use, rely only on chakra control of the users. Once it is complete, it becomes self-sustaining, which does not give the Rasengan a definite limit, like my Chidori. The compacted nature and moving speed of the chakra allows the Rasengan to grind into whatever it comes in contact with, to inflict major damage. This tends to launch the target spiraling backwards after being hit, or if the target is laying on or being launched to the ground. The destructive force is enough to form a crater. Naruto was overjoyed. This would probably be his ultimate technique, considering its massive damage and lack of hand seals. I can tell you this. It is definitely superior than to my Chidori and can be even more powerful. My sensei intended to add a nature infinity to it, however, he died before he could do so. I tried adding my right on chakra, but was unable to. Instead, I took the basic idea and created the Chidori, resulting in a less powerful jutsu, Kakashi explained. Understand so far? Yup. Also, because the Rasengan requires a high level of shape transformation, mastering the technique also grants a person of mastering of shape transformation, even if the person isn't aware of the concept. That's awesome! Naruto marveled, imagining the things he could do after mastering shape transformation. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, shall we? First, I'll give you a demonstration. Kasi stretched out his right hand, clutching its wrist with his other hand. With a burst of concentration, chakra materialized in the air above his hand and swirled around a single point, amassing into an increasingly large orb. Finally, the sphere was the size of a small beach ball and stopped increasing in size, stabilizing. This Rasengan is basically your raw chakra rotating wildly at extreme speed and compressing the energy. So these three things are important to learn: the Rasengan, rotation, power, and stability. Simple? Not. So how do I learn rotation? It is shape transformation, right? Indeed. To first start learning rotation, you need a spherical shell to spin your chakra in. So that is, it will create an orb. To complete this, it is also critical and crucial for you to understand that your chakra rotates naturally in one direction. Thus, all you need to do is envision your chakra spinning in the palm of your hand in that direction. Apply it all around the shell in order to achieve the rotation required for a Rasengan. Eh? Okay then, what should I use? A water balloon. Stated Kakashi, who brought out a couple of those and a pile. With a small Suiton jutsu, he filled the pile and used it to fill the balloons. Burst it with your chakra. He did as told, closing his eyes, imagining chakra rotation in it. Suddenly, he could feel the water swirling inside as it was pushed around by his chakra entering the bowl. However, the water within spun rapidly. The ball merely wobbled, not anywhere close to exploding. I still need to apply the rotation all around the ball. Thought Naruto, suddenly getting an idea. He placed his left hand on the balloon, such that both hands were now fully gripping it. Now, chakra flowed his hand, entering the ball from all sides, spinning wildly. The water within swirled crazily as the chakra was spinning everywhere. With no more proper direction, the water inside pushed and stretched the balloon in all directions, before finally it rubber sphere could take no more. With a loud pop, the water balloon burst and scattered its contents across the grassy floor. Wow, Naruto, I must say your chakra control is superb now. I can't believe you got the first step down so quickly, Kakashi commented. Naruto thought went back to the time when he had trained with Sayuri to learn chakra flow. In order to do so, he practically had to master chakra control, which he did after spamming clones, amount to 5 years with 9 months of chakra control training. So, what's the second step? Naruto asked excitedly. The step is bursting a thick rubber ball, roughly 100 meters tougher than the water balloon. This emphasizes power, as your chakra has to be denser and more powerful in order to break the thicker rubber. Additionally, there is only air inside and no water to aid you in the bursting it. So, power is the utmost importance in this stage of the Rasengan. The balloon took a white rubber ball from Kakashi and tried to do the same. However, as expected, his chakra was unable to penetrate the ball as easily as it did to the water balloon. Dense chakra, huh? Well, density is mass over volume, so there should be less chakra used while maintaining the power. So the step is all about chakra control too. Naruto thought he focused extremely hard, making the tentacles of his chakra thinner, and inevitably it also decreased the power as well. He tried creating shadow clones to hasten the process, but even then, it wasn't until 3 days later that he figured out the secret. Naruto remembered that on the day he fought on the bridge, he had released chakra so dense that it cracked the floor. So now the key was using the same chakra but making it thin enough to seep into the rubber ball. Another D-rank mission, he picked up a rubber ball and from Kakashi and tried out his theory. With a determined cry, Naruto flared his chakra and sent it towards the ball. The powerful mix of energy surrounded the ball by only squeezing it from outside like a squashed ping pong ball. He pictured his chakra sharpening to a point, like he did 3 days ago. It happened successfully, but this time the power did not decrease. In fact, decreasing the surface area to allow it to seep into the ball only served to increase its pressure, thus maintaining the power as it siphoned into the rubber ball. His potent chakra surged into the ball, almost as thin as needles, but offering a high amount of power as compared to the almost lackadaisical manner in which it swirled water within the water balloon during the first step. Now, to burst it, Naruto cried he could feel his chakra manipulating the air within, creating strong currents which pushed against the rubber shell. As with the first step, he created the rotation by envisioning it concentrate. He screamed his chakra coalesced into a single point into the ball, creating a wide core which expanded outwards. The rubber ball began vibrating wildly. Finally, the rubber could not stretch any further, and the ball was shredded into pieces by powerful force within, which had almost fleeted away once there was no shell to contain it. After all, it had not been stabilized, which was the final step. Impressive, not really. The second step usually takes weeks to learn, but your chakra is simply different. It's powerful enough, and your chakra control was sufficient enough to manipulate it into this point. However, we'll have to see about the final step, which requires as much chakra control as you can muster. If you can make it, you will be able to create a Rasengan, though improvement will be a later concern. Kakashi explained. Well, don't leave me hanging. What is this final step? Naruto asked. The final step is to do this, said Kakashi, holding up a normal balloon. Naruto watched him intently from his next move. However, nothing happened. Eh? What do you mean by this? Questioned Naruto. Kakashi explained. Well, it may seem that nothing is happening. However, let me show you what is going on inside the balloon. With with my other hand, he held up his left hand, palm up. Out of nowhere, chakra appeared and swirled into a blue orb with a vertical core. The chakra was rotating at increasingly high speeds, yet the power was compressed within the sphere, maintaining a perfect shape. Naruto was odd. Amazing. He's doing the same thing inside the balloon, but it's not even vibrating. I see now. The final step is stabilizing the orb and controlling the power and rotation for the first two steps. The blonde took the balloon and instantly he tried. The balloon burst into the explosion of chakra. Kakashi took a look and remarked, try to imagine a layer between the balloon and the Rasengan. Once you can do this, you will have learned the Rasengan and mastered the shape transformation. Understandably, the pinnacle of shape transformation would take a lot to achieve. Kagebunshi no Jutsu. Hundreds of shadow clones appeared in the training ground, each grabbing the balloon, as Kakashi knew that it would take a while. He left Naruto to his own devices. He had business of his own to settle. The blonde Uzumaki was trying so hard, yet no matter what he did, it seemed impossible to perform the feat. To do this, I need to concentrate more than I ever had before, thought Naruto. He gripped the ball firmly in his right hand. Taking a deep breath, he closed his eyes and concentrated. He could feel his chakra flowing into the ball, rotating and swirling rapidly to form an orb. It spun powerfully, and when its size was fully developed, it shook the balloon uncontrollably. Naruto couldn't decrease its power, for that would defeat the purpose of the second step. He would have to contain it. He imagined all that power compressed within a perfect sphere, just millimeters thinner than the balloon in a diameter. With it just burst like the 100 other balloons in the training ground. Kid, the more shadow clones you make, the more your concentration is split, just like your chakra and your soul. Your mental energy is also split up amongst your shadow clones. For this last stage, it is best to do it alone, or at most one shadow clone, Kurama advised. Naruto mentally thanked the folks before dispelling every single shadow clone, save one. He nodded to his remaining copy, and both got to working stabilizing the second stage Rasengan. Both repeated the step by performing earlier. Naruto focused as hard as he could, compressing the power and rotating it into the ball. This time he could concentrate better with one clone, but it still wasn't enough. Just as he was about to lose it, he dispelled the shadow clone. A wave of mental energy passed through him, calming him and granting him full focus he needed. With a roar, his chakra swirling within the ball took perfect spherical shape of the Rasengan. The ball did not move an inch. Yatta! I did it, Tebayo! Naruto cheered. He discarded the balloon and brought his right hand in front of his eyes. At that moment, wisp of chakra materialized above his head. The visible blue mix of energies swirled in the air before converging into a white sphere as it spun. The chakra rotation quickly in high-pressured steams that powered the orb. The sphere grew increasingly large, to the size of his head, before stopping. The sphere was a blue blur of rotation chakra, which emanated its own light. With a triumphant cry, Naruto drove it to the nearest tree. Rasengan! The rank jutsu grinded deep into the wood before Naruto released it, causing the compressed energy to disperse into an explosion which destroyed part of the trunk and tree to collapse. A certain Uchiha voiced the blonde with mirth, so she wasn't the only one with powerful technique in her team anymore. With Kakashi, the Jonin was at a conference with the other Jonins held by the presence of the Hokage and advisors at the council chambers. Well then, let's begin this meeting. I'm sure you all know the purpose of this meeting, so let's not waste any time. Who wants to nominate their Genins for the upcoming Chunin exam? Hiruzen asked. One by one, various of the Genin fraternity nominated their teams. Some senses kept silent, as they believed their teams were not ready. Others proudly declared that the team Genins were ready for the exams. A high Jonin Maitogai nominated Rock Lee, Yuga, Neji, and Tenten for the Chunin exam. The overzealous Taijutsu master yelled, "Noted. Next." Hiruzen said, I, Jonin Yuhi Kurnai, nominate my Genins Aburame Shino, Inuzuka Kiba, and Hinata Yuga for the Chunin exams as well. The Genjutsu Magistrate of Konoha stated, Alright, next, I, Jonin Asuma Saratobi, nominate Nara Shikamaru, Akamichi Choji, and Yamanaka Ino for the Chunin exams as well. The Sandam took down his son's nominees before looking at the next and last Jonin in the room who had not given his opinion. Kakashi, the white-haired Jonin, looked up at the address and stated calmly, I, Jonin Hatake Kakashi, nominate my Genin, Uchiha, Sayuri, Uzumaki Naruto, and Haruno Sakura. Cries of outburst were heard throughout the room when Naruto's name was given, especially next to the last Uchiha. Silence! Sarutobi ordered, and the room quieted down. An advisor, the elder Shimura Danzo, spoke. Jonin Hatake, do you realize what nominating the Uchiha implies? Kashi nodded solemnly. I fully understand the consequences of nominating her, sir. She passes, Elder Danzo. Hiruzen continued. Very well, then. This concludes this conference. A gentle reminder to all of you. The Chunin exams are in 3 months. Do prepare your Genins well for the exam, as it will also be showing of Konoha standards. Is that clear? Hi Hokage-sama, dismissed. The white-haired Jonin mused quietly as he exited the room, wondering if he had made the right choice for his students. The next day, listen up, kiddos. I nominated you all for the Chunin exams, of course. It is up to you individually if you wish to enter it, Kashi said while flipping a page in his favorite book. But we have to enter in 3-man teams, don't we? If one of us decides not to enter, I doubt the other can still go, Sayuri said. The Jonin sighed as he looked up from his book. His intelligence would be that of him. That's right, so if you want to go, everyone else has to agree, Kakashi responded. No pressure though. Within 3 seconds, the Genin of Team 7 reached an unanimous decision. We're in. The sensei gazed approvingly over the top of the book. Good. The Chunin exams are in 3 months' time, so we will prepare for the time being. Today will be teamwork, tomorrow will be ninjutsu, the next day will be genjutsu, and the following 2 days will be taijutsu. The 6 days will be spent studying and recuperating, while Sunday will be your mission day, with a C rank to test your skills, and the rest of the day will be your own. The next day, a new week, will start a cycle of repeats, apart from Sundays except to get home late and during lunches because it won't be leaving to training ground for any reason. The Genin nodded and committed the schedule to memory. Before we begin, Sayuri, the council has requested you presence by 9 to the morning. It is already 10 minutes to 9, so get going. We'll start without you. Ironically considering the teamwork exercise, but whatever. She is supposed to go because it was Uchiha business. Advisor's room council chamber. The Uchiha was led into the room where the Hokage and the advisors sat on sofas around a coffee table. The aged Hokage gestured her to take a seat. Adjusting to the Hokage was Shimura Danzo, seated on one sofa. Hiruzen, former teammate Mitokado Hamura, and Utatane Koharu sat on other sofas. Opposite Danzo, between the 3 advisors, was the Hokage himself, and it was opposite him that the last Uchiha sat down. She steeled her nerves. If I may ask, why am I here, Hokage-sama? Hiruzen replied. You have agreed to participate in the Chunin exams, no? Sayuri nodded. This time Danzo spoke up. Whatever appeared to be a malicious grin. Then you should know we are here to discuss the enactment of the Nandam's clan Hokage's Clan Restoration Act. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. I hope you like this one, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And this is Apollo Uchiha, and I'm signing out. Peace.